it is Shipwreck Samantha here, and today I want to have a little more of a laid-back video where I'm going to be talking about how to find your art style. And so I'm going to be showing sort of a live drawing, not necessarily a speed paint because I just doubled the speed. So this is ×2 speed of my normal drawing speed. I do not draw this quickly in real life. But I thought while I'm talking about how to find your art style and trying to figure this out together, we can sketch together. So if you need to, you can pause the video, go grab your sketchbook, and just kind of sketch along with me as I'm designing this little creature. Because I started just kind of playing with shapes until I got shapes I liked and just built from there. I really didn't have any plan for what this drawing was going to look like, and it just kind of ended up how it was by accident, just by drawing without thinking too much. But that's enough about talking about the drawing. Now I'm going to talk about art styles. Now, what is an art style? We've probably all heard it before. An art style is kind of what makes you stand out from other artists. It's the thing that people recognize about you when they see your artwork and they think, oh, that person draws that way, and I know that because they always draw that way, so that's so-and-so's drawing, and it's recognizable. And why do we as artists want this so badly? Is it just because it makes us recognizable? Is it because it's consistent? Or is it because everyone else has it? I don't really know, because I've also really wanted an art style for as long as I've known that it existed, and I really didn't know art styles existed until I started posting my artwork on the internet, honestly, and that's when I started putting pressure on myself to find an art style. And I think people put a little too much pressure on themselves sometimes, but at the same time, I have watched so many videos on how to find art styles, and while all being so well-meaning, they all ended up being vague, or general advice, and I'm not calling out anyone specifically. I have watched dozens of videos from different artists talking about how to find your art style, and a lot of people have a lot of different opinions, and this is just my opinion on it. But regardless, this is something that seems like nobody can really pinpoint into solid sound advice, so I'm going to try and walk through that today because I've just recently noticed I do have a style that I didn't really think I had. And that is what you're seeing right now. I mean, well, this isn't the finished drawing, I'm just sketching out the kind of final sketch right now of this creature, but more of a cartoon style, cell shading, and bright, vibrant colors, and a lot of line width variation in the line art is kind of a quick way to sum up my illustrations. I do have more of a cartoony Western style than other people, and you might have more of an anime style or more of a realism style, and you don't know it. So I would say the first thing that I noticed about my style is that it actually emanated from the beginnings of my drawings. It turns out it was there all along, I just didn't realize it. Because when I first started digital artwork, I did just solid line art and filled it in with color, and usually did some like gradient or cell shading. Actually, I don't think I did cell shading for a while. I think it took me a while to start getting into that when I saw some artists do cell shading and I really got inspired by them, some different artists on Instagram. But regardless, I did a lot of gradient shading, I think, and for a long time, I abandoned the line art side of my artwork and tried to avoid line art altogether because in my own opinion, I thought that line art was cheating. That if you're using line art, you just don't really know how to shade in color, and I don't mean that, like, specifically towards a specific artist or a specific style, obviously, because my art has line art in it, but this is what I thought when I was younger. I thought that it was kind of a shortcut, and I didn't want to be like that. I thought in order to be an artist, you had to be able to make amazing, realistic pieces, and so that's what I always tried to achieve. And there's nothing wrong with that either. Simply because I am thankful for the time that I refused to use line art in my drawings, because it forced me to learn actual shadows and shading. It made me learn color theory, it made me learn light sources and different types of shading, different ways of shading, so I learned a lot from that period of my life. but it is time to move on from that and stick to my line art illustrations. Because the reason I love it is I love the bubbly feel, I love how simple it is, and I like clean artwork. It's hard for me to be messy with artwork, which is ironic because I feel like I'm a kind of a messy person, or maybe I'm not because I'm kind of obsessive about keeping my room clean. But anyways, the point is, actually I don't really know what point I was trying to get to with that, but I guess I was trying to force down the biggest aspect of what turned out to be the biggest aspect of my art style, which is the line art, that I tried to suppress for so long because I was just kind of told by people and what I saw that it was a bad thing. And so I just wanted to kind of explain that it's not a bad thing. I mean, like, if you think, oh no, my style is too anime and that's so generic and people don't like anime and people think anime isn't real art, you know what, who cares? If you like anime, draw anime. Draw anime style. That's fine. Just keep doing that. Do what you enjoy drawing. Draw what you enjoy to draw, and don't force yourself to draw something you don't like. The flip side of that is don't avoid learning the fundamentals of drawing just because you don't enjoy doing it. Because I did get super frustrated when I was younger trying to do realistic drawings, but it is important that you do that because you need to learn the fundamentals and basics of drawing, and you'll hear this a lot in how to find your art style videos. But finding your art style is a lot easier when you already have the basis for everything else and you have that foundation to build off of. And so even though I'm drawing a little monster here, I have spent years learning human anatomy. I have learned values and hues and the color wheel and color theory and using different mediums. I've tried acrylics and watercolors and pencils and pastels and digital, and so I've tried to make myself well-rounded, I guess you could say. And that's taken a lot of years to do, but I think it's really important that you do that. And another thing I hear a lot is people saying, oh, don't force your art style, just kind of, relax, keep drawing, and you'll find it eventually. There is some truth to that in a sense because, I'm just now starting to find my art style, and I have been forcibly trying to find it for about 2 years now. Not really forcibly, but intentionally is the word I should use. I've been researching, I've been practicing, I've been doing all the things I've learned in videos and still kind of struggled. And so now I'm going to kind of talk about the things I did to find my style. And in a sense, I kind of found it accidentally, but I'll still talk about it. And the biggest thing was finding what artist influenced me. What was the art that I was drawn to the most? What was the art styles that I really appreciated? Because you don't even have to worry about the styles that just don't really excite you. And even within that, finding specific art pieces that really invoke a certain emotion in you, get you excited about drawing, and get you motivated to draw, those are the kinds of drawings you want to focus on. If you need to create like a portfolio of a bunch of different artists' artwork that inspire you. And I've listened recently to Drawing with Waffles kind of talking about art styles and stuff. I think it was on one of her videos where she was sharing one of her sketchbooks and talking about stealing a specific aspect of another person's style, and she clarified stealing not in actual plagiarism, but I specifically remember it was the way a specific artist drew the jaw lines on their characters, and Drawing with Waffles really liked that, and so that's something she started to adapt and incorporate into her work. So she's not taking another person's style, she's not blatantly just copying someone else, but she's finding in the little things that excite her about a drawing, the things that she really likes, and adopting that into what she does. And so that's what I've spent the last 2 years doing. I see something about an art style I like, and then I go and I kind of incorporate that. And I have incorporated stuff from so many different artists, I don't even know anymore how many I've used. Because really, if we're all honest, there's no such thing as an original idea anymore. It's not okay to flat out copy another person's illustration without credit, or trying to copy another person's style. I mean, I know people don't really own art styles, but when it comes to the art community and art etiquette, it's just not nice, and you're not going to find your own style if you try to copy someone else's anyway. And so there is some aspect of just giving it time and working on your own art. So I would say make sure you're practicing the fundamentals while I can't say while you are also trying to find your style. So you can do both. You can work on the fundamentals while you're trying to find your art style. You don't have to just wait for it to come to you. But if you try to force it, it's going to be hard to find too. So there's a balance, and I'm really trying not to give vague advice because I feel like all the videos I watch when I was trying to find my art style were a bit vague. But it's hard because I can't be specific to specific artists, and I wish I could be specific to every person that's watching this that wants to find that art style. And I'm like, I just want to give you really specific advice so you can find your style, because I know how frustrating it is, and I know the feeling. It's so frustrating when you just want to find your style so badly and you just can't find it. It's like, why is it not there? Why do I not have a style? And I know how that feels, and I felt like that not too long ago until I finally figured out what my style was. And so I hate it for you. If you're watching this and you want your style and you don't have it, I am sorry for you feeling that way. I don't like that feeling at all, and I don't know why we have that feeling. But anyways, really, that's the biggest thing for me, is finding what I like in other people's artwork and figuring out what I like and just keep drawing those things. So I really liked line art, but I avoided it for a really long time because I thought it was cheating when I really wish I had done it more. But I know it was good for me to learn more about shadows and values and light sources because I didn't do line art. It forced me to do that. And I mean, just not too long ago I made a very realism looking Maleficent, and so that just goes to show I'm not just creating cartoon characters because I can't do realism. And some people think that because people are cartoonists that they don't know how to do realism, but all artists start off with the fundamentals. We know what we're doing, we just like to draw a certain way. And so another example I have for adopting other people's style methods, I don't think we're quite to the part of the video yet where I'm showing shadowing and cell shading, but a recent artist I have taken inspiration from within the last couple weeks, actually. I've just recently started watching Lavender Town's videos, and her style is a type of style I normally would not find, interesting, or a style that I prefer personally. But she has really opened my eyes to seeing different styles, and I really love her style now. And the more I watched and the more she talked about her art style, I'm like, this is really cool, the way she thought out her style, intentionally planned it out. And I would recommend her video on finding her art style because she very intentionally chose her style for a specific reason, which was being able to have a systematic method of drawing for when she started creating her comics. And so I think that's really cool that she just decided, I'm going to find an art style, I'm going to pick one and stick to it. And that's part of it. You have to decide to stick to a style, and sometimes that's hard. But back to my point. Lavender Town, she was recently talking in one of the videos I was recently watching. I'm not sure if it was a recent video. And she was talking about how she prefers to only shade her drawings with 1 or 2 colors. And so she could shade an entire illustration with blue, even if her character's skin is pale. And that struck me with a sense of, I thought, wow, that's a bold decision I never would have thought of, because I always thought, trying to be a realistic artist, you need to have realistic shading and it needs to be the right color and all that. But it kind of made sense what Lavender Town was talking about, because it makes the drawing look more put together and cohesive when you have one color spread throughout the illustration. It kind of brings the whole thing together, and I thought that is really cool. And so I started adopting that into my illustrations, using 1 or 2 colors to shade. So for this drawing, I used the blue of the dragon or monster, I'll just call him a little monster. I used the blue of his body to shade the blue and the orange. And what I do when I shade is I just use the color and then I put it on a multiply layer, and sometimes I'll color shift side to side to make it look a little more vibrant. If you don't know what color shifting is, let me know. I could make a whole nother video on color shifting alone. That's more into the values and hues and saturation side of illustrations, but anyway, I do that, and instead of trying to change the blue to orange for shading the orange of his legs and tail, I just use the blue to shade everything. And then for the yellow, I did use the orange to shade the yellow because I thought that was a bit harsh and I wasn't quite that confident enough to use blue to shade the yellow, and so I just left it like that. But regardless, after I finished this, I was like, wow, that actually looks really good because it looks really more put together, and it's something I wouldn't have thought to put in my drawings. And so that's an example of adopting another artist's style in one aspect of it, because that's a specific method in a style that I really liked, and so I started using that because I'd already done cell shading beforehand, before I ever knew who Lavender Town was. And I adopted cell shading from another artist because here's another tip. I found an artist's piece. It was actually a drawing of Hermione that I really loved. I loved the style specifically, and this is when at a time when I was hardcore trying to find my style. I'm going to work super hard at it so I can find it really quickly, was the attitude I had at this time. And so I found this artist's illustration, I loved it, and it was on Instagram. So I asked the illustrator if I could copy the illustration. So I asked permission from the artist herself if I could create, I guess what you could call a master study, because I wanted to learn how she created her illustrations. And the way I did that was recreating it. So I could really break down the steps, and it really makes you think through how an artist thought about the piece, what they were thinking as they made conscious decisions about the shading, the composition, the pose. All those things are thought out, and so when you are recreating another person's piece, you're kind of retracing their steps in what they did to create that piece, and it really helps you learn. So that actually was a big influence on my style today, because I learned a lot about cell shading, because I hadn't tried that before. I thought that's not realistic to have hard lines and shading, so I shouldn't do that, was my attitude about it. But I loved the style of this other artist because she was bold enough to do that, and I thought I should just give it a try, and I did, and it's still something I incorporate into my drawings today. The key thing being, I asked the artist permission if I could recreate the drawing. After I got permission, I recreated the drawing, and then when I shared it on social media, I gave full credit to the original artist, and I even compared my drawing to the original drawing to show people, you know, the difference and how mine didn't look exactly the same, and to get people's opinions and see what they think, and also as a way to give the original artist more of a shout out and show my appreciation for giving me permission to recreate that piece. And so that's the way to respectfully do it. If you're gonna go and recreate somebody's piece and you really want to do it, but like it's really hard to get in contact with them and you can't get in contact with them to ask them if you can copy it, I have still copied before without asking permission, but I 100% give credit to the original artist. I do not take any credit for the piece. I have found actually drawings on Pinterest that I really like, and I've recreated them, but I made it clear I do not take ownership for the drawing, even if I couldn't track down the original artist. Just to make it clear, you're not copying someone else's art, because nobody feels good when they find out somebody is doing that. So I guess that was a little rant about copying artwork, which can also be a video in itself, but I just thought it would be nice to do a bit of a longer video, because sometimes I can ramble a lot and I crop my videos down a ton, a lot more than people might think. I probably use about a fourth of the footage that I actually record because I ramble on for so long. So I just wanted the chance to ramble without really editing the audio and just talking about art styles, talking about my frustrations and all that. And so because I still have a few minutes, I'm going to take this time to talk about some plans for changes to the channel itself. Not huge changes, not like I'm not going to be drawing art anymore, nothing crazy like that, but just I have a couple ideas that I want to start incorporating into the channel. Part of it being this, I'm going to start recording all my speed paints with the actual screen capture tool on Procreate instead of the actual pre-recorded videos. I don't like the pre-recorded videos that Procreate always does when you draw because they don't move, they don't really zoom in on the actual process of the drawing, and so I was like, yeah, it doesn't look as good and I don't really like it, and it speeds up the drawing so stinking fast you can't really see what I'm doing. So let me know if you guys like this format where I'm talking a bit more and you can really see the drawing more. I really wanted to show a little more of my process, especially since I'm talking about my art style. You can kind of see how I'm creating these illustrations and what I'm doing. And then if you want, you can maybe get inspiration from my style to incorporate into your style. Because, I mean, we're all here to help each other out, right? And so I hope maybe my style gives you some ideas on something you can incorporate if you are more of a cartoonist and less of a realism artist. I don't really know how to phrase that, but there are some minor changes coming to the channel, and that's being one of them. I'm going to be focusing more on doing creature designs, and so I'm still going to be having the Sunday videos where I'll just do requests for everything, but on these Friday videos, I would love to do more videos focused on designing creatures, character design specifically. So I'll still be doing art challenges and speed paints and things like that. I'll just be doing them while designing a creature. If that makes any sense at all, I think it'll make more sense as more videos come out, but I really wanted to find a way to make the whole channel more cohesive, more put together, more consistent. So let me know if you guys like that idea. I'm really excited about this idea because the one thing that I get super excited about when it comes to artwork is designing original characters, and that's what I love. And I want to combine my love for illustration and character concept art and kind of merge those into one, because I love the character concept side, but I also love creating clean, finished pieces, and so I'm going to be putting those together, kind of marrying the two things I really enjoy when it comes to artwork into one. And so if you guys have ideas for like creatures you want me to design, let me know. Certain themes. I was thinking about maybe doing some plant themed creatures. I actually already made another one, and it's going to be part of a 3-color challenge coming out within the next couple of weeks. I'm excited about that because I really love how that one turned out. It's just so cute, and I just have so much fun creating these. Oh, also, this dude needs a name. If you can think of a name for this guy, please let me know. My mind's drawing a blank, and I can't really think of anything that's, like, fitting. So if you can think of a fitting name for this little dude, I would really appreciate it. Also, if anyone could think of a clever name for all of my character creature designs overall, it'll make more sense when you see more of them, but I'll be doing more creature designs like this one. So kind of like, it's going to be a stupid example, but like, you know how Pokemon is like the general blanket term for all of the creatures in the Pokemon world, but they all have specific species names. So if you could think of something like that, not necessarily like a specific species name for this character, but for all of my future characters as well, I'm going to try and incorporate it into my plans to kind of do a bit more branding on this channel. Not, I was going to say rebranding, but kind of a little more just kind of adding to the brand and doing a little more stuff revolved around creating creatures, because I think that would be fun to kind of see the process of all these creature designs, but I'm still going to be doing all of those fun challenges and stuff like that. So once again, let me know what you guys think about all that, and I am looking forward to Sunday's video. I'm really enjoying doing the Sunday videos as well, because I'm looking forward to taking more requests from you guys for specific drawings. You can request whatever on the Sunday videos. It doesn't have to be a creature design. I just really love designing creatures. And so we're getting to the end of the video. I hope you guys like this design, and I really enjoy this format where I can talk a little more and show you more about my design process. Comment with any questions you have about art styles in general. If you want me to give more specific advice, I can make another video if you want, because I still think I was a little vague, and I'm trying not to be. But regardless, again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to join the pirate crew and help me voyage to discover new creatures every week, be sure to subscribe and join the crew, and then we will discover new creatures together. And so, once again, I have videos Friday and Sunday, in case you didn't know. So that's all I have for you guys today, and I'll see you guys Sunday.